This is an autobiographical video of my exploration on Hatweight. 2017, Roblox fixes the issue where the player drowns if they have too many hats equipped. September 2020, Hatweight is tested for speedrunning purposes, mainly the TV launch in Adventure Forward 2 Points of Conflict. In December of the same year, the strategy was accepted. Summer 2023, ThePotato sets a rule specific to Hatweight. There's just one problem. The TV launch uses an explosion, but what does Hatweight even do in ThePotato? Simply, players with hats are heavier. Is it practical anywhere? Not as far as I know. I did a speedrun of Mega Marble Run Pit, which puts the player in a ball, and it is a race to see who gets down the fastest. Hatweight modification is advised. But it doesn't make any sense. The assembly mass of the user doesn't change, and the read-only of the mass remains to say 0. So players aren't actually heavier with hats? 2024. The minimum density became more precise. The Mega Marble Run Pit strategies no longer work. The game hasn't been updated between the original run and the start of investigation. It still uses the same avatar. This must be evidence that Hatweight must exist, right? And that's the other side of the Hatweight line. Did TV launching change? And it did. So does the new physics change do anything? Kinda. I set up a handful of experiments and a big spreadsheet. In a scientific research paper form, I gave you a theory, and now here are the methods. First, let's compare the velocity of a ball going down a slope. 4 kinds of balls, 30 trials each. I'm graphing the trials, and there is a lot of deviation, especially for the new density. Maybe because it is more precise, there's a floating point imprecision somewhere. Let's see if there is a statistical significance using a t-test. We want to get a resulting p-value of less than 0.05 to make sure that there is evidence that there is a difference between 2 data sets. Isolating the normal ball with the new ball, 0.1571. There's no statistical significance on rolling a ball. When you repeat the same experiment but measure the time instead, you get 0.7640. Yeah, no. The density change does not affect the time. Maybe it affects how far objects are launched. Here is a wall, and here is the same ball throughout all of the wall trials. Here, it tracks the distance that the wall travels after 2 seconds after the ball spawns. And that is a pretty big difference. When doing the t-test, the result is less than the new density. So the new density is mostly affected by collisions between 2 assemblies colliding. That explains TV launching, but not quite the marble differences. It's hard to tell if the player inside the marble is colliding with the marble. Actually, we can test that by resetting, and no, the player doesn't collide with the marble. Earlier, I mentioned how ThePotato added rules to Hatweight, and then, well, as of now, they remove them. Maybe Hatweight affects walking? No, actually, let's test that. Here's a platform, an NPC spawner, and a goal. Comparing a hatless and a hatted, the average speed is unnoticeably different. But don't compare averages to draw a conclusion. Use the t-test, 0.1342. Yeah, it's not special at all. The density doesn't affect how fast something falls. Everything goes the same acceleration. Okay, you know what? I should have done this at the start. 1 character with hats, 1 character without hats. Put them on a scale. I guess Hatweight is not real at all. Does adding the weight even make a difference? If it doesn't, then there's no way to tell if a Hatweight is real. Oh, no, it does. Since these two have different behavior, that means Hatweight is not a thing. As much as I hate to say it, Jato made a good decision. Hats don't do anything when it comes to players, and that's a good thing. Do people really want a way to lose? Huh? What's this? A message from Adventure Forward 2 Points of Conflict moderator and world record holder at the time of writing this in this 36-star modern glitch category, ThePotato. What's this? The density change explains the change in the TV launch? Well, let's put that to the test. And here is the part that explodes when you click on it, and it draws lines on every single part that is affected. The purple line here represents the trajectory of the player if accessories were ignored. This yellow one includes accessories. And comparing the player with hats, it ignores accessories? The direction is consistent, but the power is not. That explains the TV launch. Maybe it checks out all of the parts it hits, and it checks it if it's a model, and only applies it to the model as a whole. Since it's an accessory, its handle is a direct descendant of the player. So what about the Mega Marble Run Pit? If Hatweight isn't real, why is the speedrun uncompletable? Let's run the cube experiment again, but with an accessory. There's no change even when welded. The only explanation of this is that the game removes the handles outside of the accessory instance. There is no way to prove that this is the case since it retains its mass. Moving the handle somewhere else doesn't break the welds, so this is the most likely situation. To bring this together, does Hatweight exist? No. Do hats do something? Only in very specific circumstances. Sometimes in research, you'll encounter things where you find no statistical evidence. It should be published anyways. Such as learning styles. Those don't have any statistical evidence backing their existence. It gets people to ask questions, such as trying to disprove counterpoints, and do I have autism?